Hello, good morning and welcome to the very first edition of Sports Central in the new week, returning fresher from the weekend filled with numerous actions we saw across different centers. The CAF competition also returned, especially for Nigerian teams, some of them which are making their debut on the continental scene. One of such as Abia Warriors at the Nest of Champions were not able to get maximum 3 points of first victory in that particular continental game. We'll take a look at Remo Stars, Rivers United, and the likes of Kwara United, who were all engaged in continental action over the course of the weekend. We'll also look at the world of tennis this morning as we have emerging champions from the WTA and the ATP category. We'll also take a look at what happened, especially as it has to do with the English Premier League, the Italian Serie A, the German Bundesliga, and even the Spanish Liga, where we had action across all of those centers. It will be an action-packed show, and I am Utube David, returning on your screens this morning to keep you updated with what's happening in the world of sports. But before we talk about conversations extensively, let's first of all bring you up to speed with some big development making rounds in the exciting world of sports. Welcome to the show. The conversation starts from the world of tennis, where world number 2 Iga Swiatek staged a remarkable comeback to beat Ekaterina Alexandrova and win the Korea Open. Wimbledon champion Swiatek won 1-6, 7-6, 7-5, having trailed 3-1 in the decider and being 2 points from defeat. Russia's Alexandrova won 11 points more in the match than Swiatek and had 15-30 on the pole serve when leading 6-5 in the second set. However, Swiatek recovered to hold serve, then dominated the second set tiebreak and broke Alexandrova late in the third set to secure victory. Swiatek joked her victory made up for her father Thomas' failure to win a medal when he competed on the Polish rowing team at the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. She is now on 25 wins and 5 losses all time in WTA finals. Away from that to the ATP scene, where Taylor Fritz backed up his upset of Carlos Alcaraz on Saturday with a 6-3, 7-6 win against Alexander Zverev on Sunday to clinch the Lever Cup for Team World. The California's native 2 wins against top 3 players in the ATP rankings accounted for 5 points in a 15-9 victory in San Francisco. Team World's third Lever Cup triumph in 4 years. Fritz picked up where he left off on the event's famous black court, dictating early in the points with aggressive rally balls that pierced through the slow conditions. Controlling the court by hogging the baseline, the American applied constant pressure to Zverev until he was broken for the first time at 4-3 in the second set. The victory delivered new Team World captain Andre Agassi the Lever Cup in his debut on the sideline, with the American legend's joyful presence lifting his team throughout the competition. To the world of Formula One, where McLaren's Lando Norris reduced teammate Oscar Piastri's championship lead to 25 points by finishing 7th in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix after the Australian crashed out on the first lap. Red Bull's Max Verstappen took a dominant victory to underline McLaren's fears that he could become a title contender, even if he's still 69 points behind Piastri with 7 races to go. But Piastri's first big mistake of the season was not as costly as it could have been, because main rival Norris was unable to make any ground from his 7th position on the grid. McLaren tried an offset strategy with a late pit stop in the attempt to give Norris a tire advantage in the closing laps. Mercedes' George Russell drove an excellent race on the same strategy as Verstappen to move up from 5th to 2nd, while Carlos Sainz hung on in 3rd after starting 2nd for Williams' first podium since the rain shortened 2021 Belgian Grand Prix. It is the team's first in a Grand Prix that ran to its full distance since 2017 race in Baku. Away from that, it was a tale of mixed fortunes for Nigerian teams in the 2025 and 2026 CAF club competitions on Sunday across the continent. Reigning champions Remo Stars showcased class in their encounter at the Yemko Abiola Sports Arena in Abeokuta, defeating US Elite Maju. The Sky Blue Stars scored 4 past their opponent in a scintillating fashion to take a healthy advantage into the second leg built for the same stadium. At the Gosula Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo, Abia Warriors suffered a setback after conceding late into the game against Joliba SC of Mali. Under the CAF Confederation Cup hopeful, Kwara United displayed a spirited display away to Ashanti Kotoko in Ghana in a goal fest, but suffered a 4-3 defeat. Despite ending the first half 2 apiece, the Tunde Sani-led side capitulated in the second half of a brave performance by the Ghanaian heavyweights. On Saturday, Rivers United picked a crucial draw off their hosts, Les Agils de Congo, in the CAF Champions League first leg preliminary round encounter. We're still talking football. Gabriel Martinelli scored from the bench for the second time in 5 days, while a fine stoppage time lob to salvage a 1-1 draw for Arsenal against Manchester City. City had looked on course to inflict a sobering defeat on Mikel Arteta's players after Erling Haaland struck in the 9th minute at the Emirates before delivering an impressive rearguard performance. However, Martinelli came off the bench to cancel out Haaland's strike when he lashed onto a Berechi's long ball over the top before catching Manchester City goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma off his line in the 3rd minute of added time. The draw leaves Arsenal 5 points behind Premier League leaders Liverpool, who have won all 5 of their games so far, with Pep Guardiola's men 8 points off the pace. Well, that's all we have for your sports wrap-up. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll have an extensive conversation on all of these sports stories and much more. Do stay with us.
Get ready for the exciting showdown, the biggest names, the toughest competition, and the most thrilling moments. From the gridiron to hardwood and from the pitch to the track. Join us for Sports Central, the most electrifying sports program on television, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Spectrum Television. Sports Central, your home for sports.
Broadening your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. We are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Rescan your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further inquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Get ready for the exciting showdown, the biggest names, the toughest competition, and the most thrilling moments. From the gridiron to hardwood and from the pitch to the track, join us for Sports Central, the most electrifying sports program on television, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Spectrum Television. Sports Central, your home for sports.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to another week where we have excitement regarding the world of sports. It is Sports Central, and my name is Bladen Kim. And now the guys are seated with me, ready for this one excitement that comes with it. And part of the conversation will center around the world of tennis. Interesting factor would be the Asian swing with Iga Swiatek finding a way in this one at the end of it, getting a victory, and that's by dropping the first set to Alexandrova in this regard. Similarly, the Lava Cup is ongoing. Most often than not, you look at team, world against team, Europe on their performances all around. It will be a conversation we'll really talk about where the directions are going for all of this. Similarly, we've already talked about the Davis Cup and all the qualifiers that are taken in that direction. And in the world of football, over the weekend we saw it, especially from the English Premier League, Chelsea Football Club are being beaten by Manchester United. And the conversation is, Ruben Amorim has a lifeline after beating Chelsea Football Club. Manchester City also keeping a record. Never seen them being that defensive against any team. Last time I was still against Arsenal, but I managed to pull a draw. Pep Guardiola packing the bust. Not many people would anticipate Pep Guardiola doing that, but we'll get to the thick of the conversation soon. Good morning, Mr. David. So good to see you. The weekend was quite interesting.
A delight to return, the fresher from the weekend, filled with numerous actions, so I'll definitely reserve a whole lot for most talking points.
All right. Mufanitina, good morning.
Oh, exciting day to be back. Lamine Yamal got 20 of his family and friends, and they're all going to be wearing Dolce and Gabbana tonight. What if the Ballon d'Or does not come home to Spain? What happens with the Dolce and Gabbana?
Well, Barcelona have said they'll be there, unlike Real Madrid that are saying we're not interested in the Ballon d'Or. They've cheated us twice. The other man now, Dembele Usman, he's posted on social media already a picture of him with a Ballon d'Or. We got to see what happens. It's going to be a night of a disappointment for many, but for us, it's always going to be a night or a day of excitement because we get to do all the reports and that comes with it. Let's begin a conversation, shall we? Moving to the world of tennis, the Korea Open. It was that of Iga Swiatek winning a 25th career title in Seoul, beating her opponent Alexandrova in this one. Losing the first set 6-1, but at the end of it, getting a victory, the second and the third set 7-6, a 7-5 victory. When Fanitina, I'll start with you, not surprising. We want to see Iga Swiatek most times be that dominant figure, probably get to return to being world number one, but on the night in Korea, he showed class and dominance.
Well, Swiatek was not good talking about this particular match. She said she didn't even know how she got the victory. I had to, give Lady Ekaterina Alexandrova some credit after this particular game. I think it's one of those games where you just have to rally around to get the best result, but not really the best for Iga Swiatek. She's going to be looking forward to playing better tennis than what she did on this particular, competition in the final, exactly, because if you look at the statistics, people say the numbers don't lie, but this particular game, the numbers actually did lie because, the lady Ekaterina Alexandrova, outperformed Swiatek in all departments, and it was quite exciting to see. So let's see what happens for her at the end of it.
Well, still being quite exciting, talking about the most important trending issues in the world of tennis. A part of this conversation will be the Billie Jean King Cup, getting even further exciting. Well, the conversation will be about Jasmine Paolini hitting the numbers right, helping Italy get a victory, defend that title at the Billie Jean King Cup final, and the title winning against a USA. Well, 42 hours we're going to be, I think you've spoken about already. The Tour David is always going to be exciting now, but there were signs Italy were all going and blazing and getting that victory. We talked about Team USA in the semi-finals against Great Britain, got the better of Great Britain, and getting the finals, and now Italy defending that title. Well, Jasmine Paolini is standing tall.
It was always, of course, going to be obvious because I was also looked at the quality of the Italian contingent, going to the Billie Jean King Cup and what they have also been able to do over time. I mean, history speaks a whole lot for themselves. In as much as we're also looking at the very fact that not even the best of the best legs or the best of the best hands, participated for, at Team Italy, but some way, somehow, we still had, that particular big win. I mean, if you look at the Italian contingent, when we talk about Jasmine Paolini, the rest of other players are not so top players, in their respective domain.
Well,
but then you look at history.
For most of the countries, anyway.
Yeah, but not similar to, Team Britain. Not similar to Team Britain. Well. Not similar to Team US, as a matter of fact. So I look at all of this now.
Team US, no chocograph.
Jessica Pegula and Amanda Barrow,
a big name, as a matter of fact, a big name. So I think it's just a whole lot of.
Madison Keys could have been there.
Well, unfortunately, couldn't also be there. So I'm looking at the very fact that the Italian side are quite used to winning the Billie Jean King Cup and also know how to play this excellently well. And I think it's deserving. It was quite obvious, predicted it quite easily. Team Italy would definitely at the end of the day take the day.
Well, I think I was quite surprised by that win. Talking about Elisabetta Codicerato, she's ranked number 19 in the world rankings, and she had to defeat Lady Emma Navarro, who's ranked ahead of her, and she defeated her 6-love. So you could see it was quite very surprising to many. But for Team Italy on the whole, I think they've been quite successful when it comes to the Billie Jean King Cup. They've done quite well for themselves. So remember the first time Jasmine Paolini got into it, she was just a reserve team player when the Finnish runners up, and then she got to be in the team, and then she started winning for them. So it's quite good days for them. They got their first win against Slovakia. I think that was 5 years ago, and now they've done it again. The second time they win this particular championship. Good for Team Italy.
Good for Team. Good for Team Italy, and the perspective that comes with Infantino are showing that and indicating the possibility of it even happening even further. But still in the world of tennis, part of a conversation what now be around the Lever Cup and the beauty of the Lever Cup that comes with it. Definitely Taylor Fritz beating Alexander Zverev in it to clinch Lever Cup for Team World. In recent times, it's always been about Team Europe. They were the defending champion before, and I end up won it more times than Team World. I think 8-5 thereabout it is, and now Team World have added up the number, building the conversation even further. It was the likes of Taylor Fritz getting that victory. What for Team Euro at the other part of the game that was completed? We talked about Carlos Alcaraz beating Ferndulu in this one, but not enough after losing to Taylor Fritz previously. Well, David, you've been following the proceedings now. Team World definitely being victorious at the Lever Cup.
I think it's quite surprising to even talk about Team World getting the better of Team Europe.
Surprising?
Yeah, surprising for me, because if you look at the individual talent scattered across Team Europe, you would always say, of course, Team Europe anytime, any day. I should definitely take the day. You've mentioned Carlos Alcaraz and a few of other, top players from Europe. I mean, the likes of Alexander Zverev also being part of Team Europe as well. So how come that Team World, I mean, courtesy of the British contingents, get the better of them? But I think that's the beauty of, a game or a tournament as big as this. Many times you can actually see shockers, but I think I would narrow down this particular win to the very fact that, Team World individual have got talent, as you believe that Team Europe have got talent more than Team World. And I think maybe we can just, of course, look at it as one of those setbacks we've actually seen in recent times. Maybe next year, Team World will come, Team Europe rather, will come very prepared. But But I think on my papers, on my book, heading to this final, I expected Team Europe to do better.
Yeah.
And I think they have to do better next time.
Well, and they've gotten some of the biggest names.
Absolutely.
Carlos Alcaraz, we're talking about, or Holgerun, Leslie Zverev being part of it, from Team World. Well, Taylor Fritz being the biggest name. Cerundolo, Francesco Cerundolo.
Not a big name.
Not such a big name. He's not really done so well, but was able to get a better of Holgerun in it. And we're talking about Alex de Minaur of Australia also being top performers. And we're talking about Fonseca of Brazil getting the better of Coboli at the semi-finals level of it. But at the end of it is basically what it is, something to really talk about and look forward to. Well, quickly, it would be the Hangzhou Open. Well, hometown hero Wu stunning Danny Medvedev in Hangzhou, a quarterfinal trailer. And also at the Chengdu Open, Mutseti had to beat Basilaville for Chengdu semi-final 3-pass. Well, guys, before I move away from table tennis, so quickly let's talk about Danny Medvedev being beaten now. It's becoming a new norm for all of us now. When Danny Medvedev is beaten, not surprising, and hometown favorite Wu got to Wu Medvedev.
Well, I think for Danny Medvedev it's quite sad. I remember talking about it here that if you want to see an upset in a competition, you have to pair Danny Medvedev with probably a lower ranked opponent. An upset is very, very possible in that scenario, and that's what happened. This is his very first tournament since I think January or thereabout, and he's defeating Daniel Medvedev. I think it's very sad for him. And looking at the statistics now, I think Daniel Medvedev has changed his coach, and this is his first competition since he changed the coach. So what's the difference? Now it's still the same old Daniel Medvedev. I think it's more than just coaching problems. Maybe it has to do with the athletes, an individual. Maybe next season. I just want to look forward to next season because Daniel Medvedev this season has been a shadow of himself, a one-time ATP finals winner, and now at the end of it is quite sad for him. Let's see what happens in 2026.
Well, let's see what happens for Danny Medvedev in 2026 according to Fortina. It's been such a difficult time for him. Many still consider him a top tennis player, but on court, he's not doing the top stuff. Definitely something to really consider for Danny Medvedev moving forward. We'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, the conversation continues. We'll look at the world of Formula 1 and Tokyo 2025 observation that's taking place as Nigeria ends championship with just one medal. It will be a conversation we'll really talk about after this break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Sports Central. My name is Vladimir Tubadav Funny Tennis Show being part of the mix. And now we're going to talk about further sporting activities. And part of the conversation was centered around volleyball, as the Nigeria Volleyball Federation are preparing for a selective congress today. Talking about the Federation President, Injin Musa and Nimrod, he's commended the steady growth of volleyball in the country and called for unified approach to leadership. Well, Tubadav, you've been following proceedings, and now they're set for elections. What are we expecting?
Well, I think those are one of the federations that do not command a whole lot of talking points, maybe due to the fact that it's a developing federation. Sports not really being used to, as a matter of fact. But I think
not too much funding also.
Yeah,
there are no fights.
No funding.
When there's funding, you see them fight in our federation.
That's why we have it in boxing. We have it in football. But I think it's quite good because was it last week we were talking about a certain a team, particularly from volleyball, going to Africa qualifiers, especially at the under 15 level. So certainly shows that there is still hope maybe in the years to come, we should be talking about volleyball being quite a major sports right here in the country. But at the moment, not really talked about, so we do not expect fracas in the elections.
Well, I'm not expecting all those fracas that gets to happen, but we hope that volleyball team and volleyball federation gets to produce for the stars, and maybe get to see Nigeria win tournament, not just in Africa, because they do a bit well in Africa, but going to challenge the rest of the world. We don't even get to talk about superstars from volleyball. Big concern there, but it's all about performance and getting even better. Quickly, let's switch gear and talk about a tournament that's taken place recently, will be the Tokyo 2025 Athletics Championship, where the sad news is that Nigeria ended the championship with just one medal. Well, you're wondering where the medal came from. It had to be Tobi Omosun, the sole medalist, claiming silver in the women's 100 meters or hurdles, while Ezekiel Nathaniel provided memorable the finale, by breaking his own national 400 meters hurdles record. Well, for the team now, there's been hope from Nigeria in terms of the performances. Yeah, a little pocket of hope here and there. But when you talk about this championship, it was Tobi Omosun that took the dust away from the faces of the country, winning silver medal in the 100 meters hurdle. But for the rest, nothing to talk about.
Well, I think many people would look at it and say just one medal, it's a disappointment. But then when you look at it holistically, if you follow the World Championships, you see we definitely had bright athletes, busting onto the scene. Likes of Israel Okon, who's just, I think this is his first championship. The man did quite well, qualified from the heat to the semi-final in the men's 100 meters, and this is his very first time, and he's still, in the university over there in the United States. So that's something exciting for Nigerians. Probably the next two World Championships will start having, more fruitful medal hauls from this athlete. Talking about likes of Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, one of Nigeria's brightest hope in the shot put category. Man is 32 years of age, keeps breaking record. Now in the top African, statistics for a shot put, the man has 7 out of the top 10, and he broke all of them this year. So it shows that Nigerians keep making it better and better. So probably when you talk about it now, it might look very poor, but for the future, I think Nigerians are doing quite well. Might start seeing better medal hauls in the years to come.
Well, I think I'm just concerned about the fact that maybe we would have had more medals if Favour Ofili had participated for Nigeria. Yes, because
maybe not to.
Maybe not to, because I'm also looking at the female
she's
category.
Participated before. Question is how many she's won for Nigeria also.
Yeah, questionable, but we can also, write off the experience of Favour Ofili, at this particular competition. She's been here time and time again. As a matter of fact, we're looking at Tobi Omosun, and maybe next should be Favour Ofili in that female category of athlete that would have actually won medal for Team Nigeria. However, I still feel the future is bright. Just on Friday, we were talking about Udodi also making it to the 200-meter heat event finals. Unfortunately, couldn't make podium finish at the end of that final. Same could also be said for Nathaniel, who finished 4th, couldn't make the top 3. But I think progress and signs of progress are also being shown. However, I want to draw the minds of, the Athletics Federation back to what happened during Tobi Omosun before, the tournament started properly, where they were actually back and forth in the media space about, kit and all of that. It doesn't really make sense that in every competition we keep getting complaints about the Athletics Federation not doing better, not doing enough. So I think maybe in the next competition to come, all of these had to be done before time to enable all of our athletes settling psychologically and ready for tournaments as big as this.
Well, I want us to talk about Max Verstappen and Formula One, but before then, something comes to my mind before we get to talk about football stories, because are we now in that position where we're celebrating the fact that Nigeria's qualified for the finals? Because before now, it wasn't just about qualification.
Absolutely.
It's about going there to get a medal. And this is a world championship. This could be a pointer to what happens at Olympics, because Olympics is a notch ahead. Are we getting that point that we're beginning to celebrate some level of mediocre?
Well, I think at the moment, personally for me, I do not think I'm actually celebrating what happened at the World Athletics Championship.
Yeah, because listening to the two of you, it sounds like we said, no problem.
I'm actually looking.
But the situation is dire.
Yeah, just like I said, firstly, I said we would have had more medals. Probably more medals if we would have had likes of Favour Ofili also participating.
Well,
so it shows
that doesn't even count, because when you look at Favour Ofili, and many wouldn't necessarily say she's the world.
This is the pointer now. This is the pointer now. It points to the fact that the Athletics Federation are not doing enough.
Yeah.
In terms of trying to gather these athletes and make them better. Particularly heading into tournaments. I mean, most of the athletes that participated here, it is actually their first time at the World Athletics Championship.
So that's the positive.
Yeah, that's a positive. So I feel maybe the next competition, experience could also count for them.
Yeah,
Another big gap.
I was talking about Koinsola Ajayi now. The man is 21 years of age, and he's the 6th fastest man in the world. What happens 2 years later? Just picture your mind there. And I'm very happy that these athletes are having proper development because they're not in the shores of Nigeria.
We should also pray that the athletics do well. Maybe we could also be talking about the next athletics championship. You don't even find them anymore. Representing Nigeria.
Exactly. Because
so we have to follow up these athletes.
From the United States. So it's something about a proper development for these athletes. Likes of Koinsola Ajayi, Israel Okon, very young. Both 21. Talking about Ezekiel Nathaniel, also very young. So I think the future is quite bright for Nigeria.
Well, the guys have spoken. They said the future is bright for Nigeria. We're waiting to see in the next few years, the next 2 years in particular, what will happen with the likes of Israel Okon and the rest of them, the likes of Ajayi, and what they can bring to the table even further because they have to improve and they're standing. And now the other conversation is looking at a gap. What happened between the transition of the older athletes and the newer athletes that we're now having athletes just going to major competition for the first time and we're clapping and being excited of qualification instead of winning titles and medals. Well, the guy said the future is bright. I wouldn't go against it. Let's see what happens for the lads and let's hope the very best for Nigeria's athletics. And the federation, we hope they're going to do the right things to keep Nigeria on the map without all the controversies. Well, quickly before we get to go on that break where we talk about football stories around the world. Well, Max Verstappen has cleared a dominant win as a championship leader. Oscar Piastri crashed out on a first lap. Well, unfortunately, we've seen that Azerbaijan, a Grand Prix, and what's happening now, Max Verstappen getting that victory and Piastri crashing out. What's the implication now?
Well, I think it's still, I think it's no sign of worry now for the likes of Oscar Piastri because when you look at it, I feel he's still leading by, I think, 69 points. 69 points thereabout. So it's quite still a long way for Max Verstappen to come back into the mix. Yes, he's won, but then it's very, I don't think he can do that.
Yeah, 25 points late.
So the biggest contender for him is going to be his team Lando Norris, who also finished in 7th place here. So wasn't really going to be that much of a difference between both of them. I think it's just for Max Verstappen to try to see how he can win more races before the end of the season because this is just his 2nd Grand Prix he's won as a defending champion coming into it. So quite sad from the top 2 of his season, winning here, losing here, winning here, losing here. So at the end of it, just trying to amass more wins for himself before the season runs out.
Right, before the season runs out, Twitter with just a bite on it before we talk about football stories. What's been the biggest problem for Max Verstappen? Every year, every now and then, we gotta see a champion comes out such a blessing. It was Max Verstappen coming out, and everyone said he was so aggressive and a better driver compared to what's his name now?
Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton struggling a bit after winning that championship 7 massive times and keeping that record. But just barely 2 years after, Max Verstappen struggling. What could be the problem?
I think it's just a clear case of the very fact that other, franchises are also improving. I mean, if you also look at the drivers, most franchises are having now. I mean, young drivers, 21, 22, 23 years, and all of them have lots of ambition. Yeah, could also be car problems as well. But I look at Max Verstappen dominated the last 2 years. So, I mean, you could also expect, all the rivals to, try and look at what exactly Max Verstappen and the team has been doing that other franchises have not been doing. So I think that's why we're having McLaren coming up top now at the moment. So if they keep this consistency level going, we may just likely see other franchises follow suit, maybe by next year.
It's all about consistency. From Tour David talking about McLaren showing class and dominance and pushing it even further. And Max Verstappen and the Red Bull struggling a bit is our conversation. But for us here at Spectrum TV, we struggle nowhere. We do the bit we can and always move forward and forging forward. And that's why we'll go on this break. And when we're back, it will be football stories all around the world. Talking about Chelsea Football Club, Arsenal Football Club, Manchester City, and the CAF Confederations Cup and the Champions League that took place. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Sports Central. My name is Bladen Kim, the guy seated on the table of greatness. Ready for this one? I'm going nowhere. The excitement of football always taking center stage. Sadly, time is far gone, but we'll find a way to round off with it. Well, the conversation on the world of football starts from the Nigerian Premier Football, not the Premier Football League, but it starts with a CAF Champions League with the likes of Aimba Football Club staying top and beating Insurance in 5-goal thriller. The excitement even gets even further at the beauty of it, because we're talking about the numbers well in the Nigerian Premier Football League it is. Well, funny now, let's start from there before we talk about the CAF competition. Aimba beating Insurance said it. I got used to the fact that Aimba always seen the CAF competition, and I thought it was.
Well, I think for Aimba Football Club, it's been a very good start to life for them. Remember last season we talked about Aimba in a very bad light, always bad stories, even the likes of Brownie Day coming out to criticize the club. But now, I think they are getting everything right, sitting on top of the table at this point. So it's quite good for Aimba Football Club having to struggle to beat Benelli. Benelli is also a very top club when you make a Nigerian football league, but at this moment I think Aimba Football Club are doing quite well, and I'm very excited to see how they can finish in the top spot so that we can see them back in the Champions League, because no matter what anyone would say, I would always prefer the old legs to go there. When you have newcomers, look at what happened would go to there, but look at what happened to Kwara United in the CAF Confederations Cup. I feel people who've got more experience will always do better than the newcomers.
Well, we're going to talk about the CAF competition by getting a victory in the Nigerian Premier Football League match day 5 of 38 games. We're talking about 3-2 victory over Bendel Insurance. Other games also taking place. Shooting Stars against Kun Khalifa beating Kun Khalifa 2-1, and Mbara Rivers United was postponed because Rivers United were involved in continental affair. And Bayelsa United being beaten by Nasarawa United. Nasarawa going away, having that victory 2-1. And Academy Warriors 1, Warrior Wolves 0. Remo Stars game against Kano Pillars postponed, and Kwara United against Plateau United postponed. Niger Tornadoes 4, Ikorodu City 2. Enugu Rangers against Abia Warriors postponed because of Abia's presence in continental games, and Katsina United against Wiki Torres gets to happen today. Well, it would be one to really talk about, but the argument by many would be if other teams that are part of these standings participated, maybe it wouldn't be aimed by topping it at the end of it, but it's always going to be that concern. And now let's talk about a big one. It would be the Champions League that's taking place in Africa, the CAF Champions League, and we're talking about Remo Stars easing past Comoros champions in Abeokuta. Well, to David, you've been following proceedings now. Remo Stars showing class and dominance. A first leg over the second leg coming after.
Well, a very good win, I must say, an impressive victory for Remo Stars, 4-0 against the Comoros champions. And then we're talking about the second leg still happening in Abeokuta, so that's a very big advantage for them. And I think the first round is quite easy for Remo Stars at the moment. Maybe we should be looking at the second round and what gets to happen for the current NPFL champions. So I think at the moment they should just be using these games to sharpen up themselves, try and put themselves in momentum, owing to the very fact that the second preliminary round may just be a tough team awaiting them. But I think it was a good win for them. For Rivers United, unfortunately, couldn't get victory. It ended in a stalemate at the end of it. But I think the second leg right in the shores of the country could also, be something very different for Rivers United if they can actually get victory at the end.
If they can get victory at the end. Well, Mfanitina, we got to talk about this one as fast as possible also. It would be the attraction that comes with some of these games. You were mentioning Kwara United has suffered and now lost in a game, Ghana. Well, the coach has told them and said, look, I've told the Ghanaians how they said, look, you're coming to Nigeria. Let's see what happens. At halftime, it was 2-2, Kwara United 2. And then got to the final lap of it, ended 4-3.
Well, I think I'm still very, very pessimistic about newcomers to the CAF, competitions, because you look at Kwara United and Abia Warriors, relatively newcomers. But Kwara United, some would say, gave a very good, account of themselves. But Asante Kutoko, not really a top team when you talk about CAF, competitions. How many times
a top team in Ghana, then?
Yes, top team in Ghana. But how many times have they even gotten past the group stage of the competition? So when you look at it, what if Kwara United gets past Asante Kutoko and meet a bigger opponent? What would they do? That's the thing.
It's a Confederations Cup. Let's see what happens. Remember the last time, I think it was Dream FC from Ghana.
They defeated a Nigerian
side and the top side. So
absolutely.
Let's see what happens. Give them a chance anyway. And well, lots of other games also took place. Abia Warriors pulling a draw against what's the name now? Joliba
FC.
Against Joliba right here in Oyo. Unfortunately, I must be quite disappointed about it anyway. Well, we'll see what happens. It's not the end of the road for them. The second leg gets to happen. And quickly, before we get to talk about European football, let's start with the possibilities of awards. It would be the Ballon d'Or. We here. The night is here with us in Paris. Well, it would be one. Some Paris Saint-Germain players might not attend the ceremony. We here. Well, I think they have a game
against Marseille today.
And the president, Nasser El Khalifi, has come out and said, look, they have to shift the time for that game. He wants him to participate at the awards. But, well, it's basically what we have to look forward to. Barcelona have said they would be available. Well, guys, let's do a quick pick. I know we don't have much time to talk about it again, but a quick pick. I want to get your position, who gets to win it. Well, the chief editor of the French football, what's his name now, Garcia, has come out, Vincent Garcia, has come out and said there are features to look forward to, what to consider in giving the Ballon d'Or award. And we're talking about individual performance and decisiveness. He's also talked about team trophies that you've won. And at the end of it, he's also talked about behavior on and off the pitch. I call it fair play. It seemed like something that didn't stand for Vinicius Jr. the last time out. Who wins this one for you, and who are biggest contenders?
Well, that won't really take much time. I still feel Ousmane Dembele still stand as my favorite to win the award. Individually, you want to talk about goals, you want to talk about trophies last season. The man was always there for Paris Saint-Germain. He didn't just score goals. He scored goals that proved so vital for Paris Saint-Germain all through last season. So I think he takes it for me.
Well, Infantino has never really been, Lamine Yamal has never really been Infantino's guy. So let me ask him for Lamine Yamal, any chance?
I don't even think Lamine Yamal should finish higher than Rafinha. Rafinha had the most goal and assists last season in the world. Coming about Mohamed Salah, Ousmane Dembele, Lamine Yamal. You know, Rafinha had the most goal contribution last season. So why is Barcelona fronting Lamine Yamal? That's the biggest question.
Well, not necessarily Barcelona.
Barcelona.
The world looks at Lamine Yamal, who's loudest in terms of quality and performance. Definitely,
I'll tell you something. This is
Yamal.
something that happened with Real Madrid. They pushed Vinicius Jr. instead of Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham did more than Vinicius Jr. Look at how it ended.
I think many would disagree with you saying Jude Bellingham did more than Vinicius Jr.
He won more awards at the end of the season.
He was the best player in the Champions League. Vinicius Jr. was the best player in the Champions League.
We are talking about Champions League awards. We're talking about Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or pictures, the Champions League is the epicenter.
Jude Bellingham went to the finals of the Euros.
Where Rodri won.
He won the best player for Real Madrid at the end of it.
Vinicius Jr. was the best Real Madrid player.
It's not an argument.
That season.
Well, let's
Jude
move
Bellingham
on,
was the
guys.
best Real Madrid player that season.
That season, Rodri won.
Yes.
He was the best player, arguably. He was the
Vinicius Jr. was clearly. It's not an argument.
Vinicius Jr. was the best player.
He missed a lot of the season.
It doesn't. It's not even an argument. Everyone knows that. Well, the Premier League took centre stage. We have to wrap up now. Liverpool holding off Everton and Derby and maintaining winning start, and Porter pressure mounts as West Ham lost to Crystal Palace, and Manchester United held off Chelsea as both sides end with 10 men, and Aston Villa in Premier League goal drought but held by 10-man Sunderland. Gabriel Martinelli rescuing Arsenal draw with pragmatic and Manchester City. Kylian Mbappe scoring again as Real Madrid beat Espanyol 2-0. And we're talking about Ferran Torres a bagging brace as Barcelona east past Getafe, and Julian Alvarez has penalty served as Atletico drop points again. Hurricane scoring hat-trick as Bayern Munich demolished Hoffenheim. Well, I know, just 1 minute, guys, before we go. We've taken a lot of time. Another game that stood out for me, I just wanted you to talk
about Arsenal, Manchester City.
Arsenal, Manchester City, yeah.
But I think Mikel Arteta was actually, or is a victim of himself at the moment. He's the cause why Arsenal have, actually endured near success syndrome. Why would you, of course, fill in 3 defensive-minded players in the game against Manchester City? You were actually pressing City, especially in the second half, until he brought in...
Who?
Mikel Merino played that number 10 position yesterday, and that's why, despite all of those presses by Arsenal couldn't, generate clear-cut chances. They couldn't, create clear-cut chances until when Berechese came on. That's why we saw the difference. So I think Arteta, for me, was actually a very, very big fault in that particular game.
Well, funny thing, quite exciting. Manchester United got a victory against Chelsea, but Arsenal, Manchester City, one that many want to talk about. Many people look at Arsenal and say Arsenal not ready for the title.
Oh, I think Arsenal would always bounce back from that particular game. They would always get better in the coming days. We'd see that.
Well, we'll see what gets to happen. Lots of positive from Funny Tina for Arsenal. Well, things are changing these days when Funny Tina speaks good this much about Arsenal. Quite interesting times to go. But now we have to call it down on today's edition of Sports Central. Thank you for being a part of it. My name is Vladimir Kimutuba, Funny Tina, making it happen with me and everyone everyone from the control room, cameraman doing the magic for us. Thank you very much. And to you, esteemed follower who's watching from home, thank you for being a part of it. And we bounce. Tomorrow is another day.